I recently got this laptop in a job lot of laptops that cost me around £50, or 67 Freedom dollars. This laptop did surprise me with its specs, consisting of a i5-7200U from 2016, the integrated graphics being the HD 620 from Intel, and 8GB of DDR4, which is a good laptop, slap 16GB of RAM, and you probably have a brilliant machine that might be able to play games in 2025. Its modern price now being £90 or 121 Freedom dollars. Now we did put Windows 11 on this, mainly because almost every single laptop is running that nowadays. Alright, let's get on the benchmarks. We're starting it off with something that was around when this laptop came out, Sonic Generations. Getting around 15 FPS average, which is pretty decent with 9 FPS in the 1% lows. Since it doesn't have a dedicated GPU, it's completely understandable that Sonic Generations doesn't run great, but is still playable, which I'm genuinely shocked about, since I didn't have high expectations. And this was also in 1080p, which I'm pretty sure this one is rated for 720p or something like that. And it's a business laptop, so I'm shocked. Next up on the list we have Sonic Colors Ultimate, which released in 2021, which is one of our most recent releases or ports on 720p. Yep. Getting around 30 FPS on average, which is 15 more than Generations, but the 1% low drags it down way more, as it is at 9 FPS, making the stutter feel like it's more lag than what Generations did. I'm very happy with these stats though, due to it coming out on 2021, or at least the port. Meanwhile, the laptop is from 2016. Alrighty, and this is the last Sonic game on the benchmarks, I swear. Sonic Forces, which was released in 2017 on 720p low, averages around 15 FPS with final 1% lows of 11 FPS. Through the start of the game, we did see 0.1% lows being 1, making the game almost unplayable at times, which is completely fine on a business laptop since it's not made for gaming. Next up, we have a game from 2017 called Slime Rancher. Sadly, we couldn't get Slime Rancher 2 to launch due to its capabilities. On Slime Rancher, we did do medium-low settings in 1080p, getting an average of 21 FPS and the lows of 9. If you put this in 720p, you can probably reach up to 30 FPS by estimations, making your gaming experience with this cozy game a bit better. Next up we have Repo, which was an enjoyable time since it felt really smooth all the way through, to the point that I forgot I was playing on the laptop and I just played it normally for a good hour after the recording. Anyways, let's not get distracted. Repo was on 1080p medium settings, fetching us around an average of 19 FPS and 1% lows of 11 FPS. Lastly, for our benchmarks, we do have Doom 2016 on 720p low settings. If I didn't have this on here, what kind of tech YouTuber would I be? Doom was an enjoyable time with this laptop since the lows and averages was not too far apart, with the FPS average being 15 and the 1% lows being 12 FPS. Though I did get carried away with Doom by playing 2 whole hours while working, when I was meant to do other things. Also, like you saw in the intro, this computer was like that this entire time. Refurbished to be like factory new. So if you have something what's even slightly used, it should still perform around about the same. But yeah, that's all I came here to say. Subscribe if you enjoyed it. If you want to see specific games, let me know. And don't forget to subscribe. Wow, that sounds so cheesy. Anyways, bye bye. So recently I got this Sony Vaio in the same chiplet as last video's Lenovo ThinkPad E570. This computer had a part in it which I have never heard of until today, so let's get into the components. This laptop consists of an i7 3632QM, a AMD Radeon HD 7550 EM with a 1GB model, and 16GB of DDR3 RAM. Now, I don't have high hopes for this laptop because of how old the Ivy Bridge processors are. Anyways, I'm not going to bore you. Let's get into the benchmarks. The first benchmark we have up is a game released in 2020, Ultra Kill. Even though Ultra Kill isn't very graphical intensive, it still ran at 1080p with a average of 53 FPS, which is crazy for an Ivy Bridge processor, with 1% lows being in the range of 4 to 20 FPS. But altogether, as a gaming process, it was really enjoyable and I couldn't actually feel any of the lag with the game, even if I was parrying everything. Repo is next on the list, and with Repo being from 2025, we put all the settings on low, with the standard rate of being 1080p. The average FPS on this game once again shocked me with an average of 31 FPS, which is better than the last video user E570 ThinkPad. And the 1% lows only being 17 FPS, which delivers a smooth time with the game. I felt no lag whatsoever. Now off to Hollow Knight. I instantly went and maxed out everything I could on the game. Hollow Knight has now been out for 8 years, and the reason why we're not doing Silksong is because Unity is not able to run it on the current specs we have. Anyways, the average FPS on this masterpiece, of the game is 55 FPS and the 1% lows being 2% at the most harsh times. Yet it was still playable and a very nice experience. So Inscryption is a game released back in 2021 and it is a pretty fun game with how they did the card game part of the game, and it's still one of my favourite releases from the year. On the Sony Vaio we are getting roughly about 37 average FPS and a 1% low of 16. Please note the game didn't actually feel laggy or slow at all while playing the game, and to the point that I wouldn't be able to tell if the FPS monitor wasn't in the foreground. Alright, that's going to do it for today. Thank you for watching for the Sony Vaio video. I have a couple more computers coming soon, so stay tuned for their video. This one was a bit shorter, mainly because I didn't have as much time on my hands as I wanted, as well as I usually go through a 2-week upload time at the moment. So it's all up to that and where I can fit in my life. Anyways, thank you for watching this short video. Goodbye. Well, not everything. See, the 210 is underspec'd for the minimum requirements for the game. It's really struggled at 1080p, being borderline unplayable, but tweaking it to 720p really helped it with its average FPS, being a way higher than it was. And it was remarkable seeing a game released in 2020, the average FPS being 25, and the 1% lows being only 9 FPS, which shocked me since this card only has a gigabyte of DDR3. Now, as we move on to Slime Launcher, this really surprised me due to the GeForce 210 being way too weak for this game. But we did have to lower the settings to the lowest settings at 600p. The 1% to lows were, while I was wandering around, was about 2 FPS, but I have no doubt in my mind that in later stages of the game, it might even go to 1 FPS in the lows, if not crash. Now, off we go to our final benchmark, Phasmophobia. Phasmophobia was released in 2020 to the shock of every ghost hunt in Fnatic. Phasmophobia gets roughly 15 FPS on average, with a 1% low of 2 FPS. But due to this, the game felt really smooth, and it felt like nothing was going to go wrong. Until... No, but when I got into a stage, everything was pink, almost as if it was missing textures that the GeForce 210 just couldn't render, not even at 480p on the lowest settings. So there you have it, the GeForce 210 in all of its action, but I cannot speak of how surprised I was to see what this could even do running some modern games. Even though they're a bit more down in the graphical era of today's age, they're still massively fun games, which I cannot recommend any more than I ever can. But I cannot recommend this because I was meant to be doing more benchmarks on this graphics card, but for some reason it just up and died for no reason, it seemed. Instead, I would try getting a later graphics card, but if it's cheap you need, try getting a Radeon 580, which the 4GB model, second hand, on eBay is roughly £30 and does way more performance. And much more VRAM too, so you don't have to worry about that 1GB limit. Anyways, if you did enjoy this video, please subscribe and like. This entire channel is a passion project of mine, so come down for these crazy rides. Welcome to another video where today we have the HP 250 G3. Jeez, that's a mouthful. Anyways, this is a laptop which was released in January of 2014, making it 11 years old. The CPU being a i3 4005U. So it's not the best CPU from that generation, but it'll do for the games we're running. It does not have a GPU, it only has integrated graphics, being the Intel HD 4400. And I did put double the RAM it came with, being 8GB of DDR3L. For Stardew Valley, I installed Ubuntu to test out Linux, and we got a average total of FPS of 34 at a resolution of 768p. In some bits we did get over 40 FPS, and generally if you're okay with 30 FPS and you only play Stardew Valley, this would be a great device for it. To 100% your save. With Silksong, we are still running Ubuntu because for some reason it would not run on Windows no matter how hard I tried. And with this workaround we get 30 FPS-ish. I don't know the exacts because I couldn't get the benchmarking program up on Silksong, but it was at 720p, and generally this was my first time playing Silksong, so it just felt great to me. Like, you don't need a high-end thing for these kind of games. Yeah. As we move on to Ultra Kill, we had to go back to Windows 10. Because for some reason it would just keep crashing on Ubuntu until we got Windows 10. We got an average FPS of 22 at 768p, and it was a blast. If you play this system at 30 FPS, it's still pretty capable. And it was so powerful to the point that I could even get a P rank. Like, it's still a good laptop for this. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Now, I didn't do this much benchmarks this time around, because I do this channel on the side of my work. So if I don't have enough time for benchmarking during work, I just don't do it. and that's mainly because I have a back pile of laptops now. Anyways, if you did enjoy this video, please subscribe and like. This usually helps out get more people interested into my videos, pop it up to more people's YouTube pages, since I would like to review old tech more, since I had until recently some really low powered laptops growing up. Anyways, that's it for me. Goodbye.